Yeah, Sedgwick Road there's some interesting things out that way. Pretty remote, not many houses on it. And some interesting people.
Where is it out there?
Off of 252. If you were going out of Morgantown and, or if you're coming from Martinsville, when you go down the big hill, you hit the very bottom, it's just a road off. If you're coming from Martinsville, it'd be a road off to the right and, run back in there and,
In Dog Pound Road?
Sedgwick.
What do they call it?
Yeah, Dog Pound, yeah, that's really a better name. That's what we always called it when we were younger.
Yeah. Right after the curves.
Yeah, okay, here, he just said the thing. It was always Dog Pond Road. Always Dog Pond Road out there. And then they moved in, some people moved in out that area, and they changed the name, one of the names that changed to Red Bud Lane, or,
Yeah,
Red Bud
that's
Lane,
back
and
there,
that's off of
that's there.
Sedgwick. Yeah.
So how are you, your kids? Haven't seen you like forever.
They're good. They're good.
We're trying for round 2. I was trying to get Sarah married off. She was supposed to been, the wedding was scheduled for Labor Day weekend last year. She postponed it for a year to Labor Day weekend this year.
What do you say, stranger?
Hey,
Place called Industry 828. It's just south of it's cutting corner from Diamond Chain. There's a building that kind of used to be a machine shop.
oh, okay. What's the name of it?
Industry 828.
Big tall ceilings, wood beams, all that kind of stuff. I think I was at a wedding there.
So it's like the parents, because his parents are divorced, and me and Jennifer, so it's like, so it wouldn't, just between the parents and the wedding party, the big people. So,
So everything going okay now for it?
so is she trying, she did change She ended up going with City Barbecue. Tear downs, fly the people, everything, so it's
I
like,
wanna holler at you when you're done reading, Gerald. Are we having anything that first Friday of the fair, on free entertainment?
Hey, Stan. Saturday on the free stage is Martinsville Community Band. They have a 5-year contract. Usually do is, by the information booth, is they do taps, they read off the names and have taps. What, you're gonna tap dance or something?
No, that rodeo and extra seating if it works out well.
Oh, use our seats?
I don't know, we'll see what happens. It would be,
Well, the band has, I don't know if they bring their own seats or we have the seats for them.
no, they bring their own seats. I furnish them lights, and they bring a tent. They put it up partly on the dance floor, which we've ordered. And then, like I said, I put lights into
The
there.
rodeo's the first night.
Where is that Friday night?
So why don't we put something in the paper that people coming to the fair, there might be limited seating that night.
Yes,
The
yes, yes, yes.
free
yes.
stage. Bring a blanket, sit on the lawn.
A lot of people bring
If you
chairs
need
anymore
those-
at all these events. I was amazed at how common it is. You eating dinner yet?
Not yet. I hadn't slowed down long enough today to eat.
What you here
Ate
for?
breakfast this morning about a little bit after 7, and that's all I've had to eat. I got home long enough to jump in the shower and grab my stuff and head right back out again. Trying to take care of an estate.
We're recording. Bill, you need the seats, the aluminum seats,
Huh?
but we have benches there. Leave the benches on the free stage,
Probably make other
and
arrangements.
you make some more benches.
Used to make them all the time out of a couple concrete blocks and a 2x12 from Bender's. I'd give them back the
Blocks.
2x12 after we were done. We've been playing phone tag with the sheriff. I need to get some, set that place up. I use it. What? Trustees of the jail.
Yeah.
That's the joy when you get them out. They haven't been out since last year. Had Rob Helm buy them pizza. They're always hungry, but they can't eat that much of that little bit of food. It's been morbid.
Too bad if you get the same crew all the time throughout the year, the county can't give them a little stipend in their accounts or. You know what I mean? Pay them a little something, guys that are gonna get out soon.
Rob Helm bought the, Rob Helm bought the pizza stores. I mean, they work very much. I think one guy weighed 300 pounds.
Too hot.
Pretty stout. The other weighed probably 250, 275. And the other one was just a 225 pound guy. I mean, they could eat, they could pound post.
Yep.
What do you say, young man? Did you go to the concert?
fun, bud. It's fun.
Wife runs up. I call it a great trade.
Oh, yeah, no kidding. No, just,
It sounds
Sometime the next, just found out earlier this week. Are you guys all ready to go? Ask them if they're ready to go. You guys ready to go?
You ready, guys?
He's ready to go.
Is all ready. We'll go ahead and call the Morgan County Board of Zoning Appeals meeting for June 28th, 2021 to order. We do have a quorum this evening with 4 members present. We are missing our 5th member who unfortunately recently passed away. So if you would join me in a moment of silence for Gene Shoup, who passed away a couple of weeks ago. Thank you very much. Mr. Rumball, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Certainly. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Rumball. Minutes were sent out to us from our last meeting. Were there any changes, corrections, additions, or deletions to the minutes?
I move the minutes be approved as sent.
I have a motion to approve the minutes as sent. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second from Mr. McGrath. All in favor, please raise your right hand, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Minutes are approved. An agenda was sent out to us in advance of the meeting. Are there any changes, corrections, additions, deletions to the agenda? Open for a motion to approve the agenda.
Make a motion, we approve the agenda as sent.
Thank you. I have a motion to approve the agenda. Do I have a second?
Good.
Thank you. Mr. McGrath seconds. All in favor, please raise your right hand, say aye.
Aye.
The agenda is approved. Folks, we ask that our board's attorney, Mr. Peden, swear in anyone who's going to be speaking in front of the board this evening. Mr. Peden, if you would do so.
Those who expect to address the board will be giving testimony. In fact, this is raised on our judicial proceedings, so you can stand and give your address the board. You and each of you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. I do.
Thank you, Mr. Peden. We have 2 items on the agenda this evening under new business, the first being public hearing U-21-05. Ricky and Robin Greenwood are requesting a use variance to allow a second dwelling on one parcel. The property is located at 0 Sedgwick Road in Jackson Township and is zoned for agriculture. For this application, I have 4 persons signed up in support of, no one interested, no one in opposition. Ricky Greenwood, if you'd come up to the podium, Mr. Greenwood, give us your name, your address, and then explain to the board what it is that you are wanting to do and why we should approve your request.
Ricky Greenwood, 1702 South Eagles View Drive here in Martinsville, Indiana. We want to build a small living unit behind my son. My son's going to be building a house out on Sedgwick Road. That's why we don't have an address for it yet. We haven't got the building permit for that house yet. But we want to build a pole barn behind there with a 800 square foot living area for my wife and I so that we can help him out on the farm. And he swears when it's time, that he'll take care of us when we're getting old, so. And then we hope to pass this down generationally so that my son and his wife can live there and his son can inherit the farm. The farm's been in the family for over 100 years, so.
Thank you. Questions from the board?
When do you feel you're gonna be able to start building on this?
Well, TK Home is going to start building on his house hopefully by the 1st of August. And the builders for our house, our pole barn, say they're going to be able to start in mid-October, late September, mid-October. It's going to be a 40 by 60 pole barn with a 20 by 40 living area.
How big a house is he gonna build? Is it gonna be a pole barn type building?
No,
or is it gonna be a
his
frame,
house.
stick frame?
Yeah, his house going to be built by TK Builders, and it's the New Orleans style, which is one level ranch building. It's 1,800 square feet, 3 bedrooms. We'll have one, it'll have 2 baths. Our place will have 1 bath, a bath and a half. So, and mainly we're building it just so he can have a barn out there, because being a farmer, you know, it's pretty important to have a barn. So trying to help him out all I can.
Are you going to be living in this year-round, or do you winter somewhere else?
Well, we plan on going to Florida for the winter and then living here in the summertime so I can help him out on the farm. Probably just 4 months, 5 months out of the year.
Laura, what's the minimum square footage required for a dwelling?
950 square feet.
So they're not going to be compliant on that either then?
Correct. Accessory dwelling is often aren't.
Any other questions from the board?
I have none.
No, I don't have any.
Fred?
No, I don't have anything.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Robin Greenwood? And if, I'm just calling off whoever signed up to speak. If you don't want to speak, you can just,
I'm his wife.
do you want to speak?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I was just prepared in case,
How about Rick Greenwood Jr.? Okay. All right. Candy Greenwood? Okay. All right. Well, that's everybody on the list. At this point, we'll end our public meeting with the public hearing. This is an application for a use variance. In order for the board to grant this, we have to agree that the applicant meets 5 findings of facts. The first being that the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community because, and the applicant writes, appropriate use and appropriate location, in-laws living in pole barn quarters behind new single-family home. Number 2, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner because, and the applicant writes, will not alter essential character of the locality. Number 3, the need for the variance does arise for some condition peculiar to the property because, and the applicant has written, property does not allow 2 residences currently. Number 4, the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will constitute an unnecessary hardship if applied to the property for which a variance is sought because, and the applicant has written, in-laws need to live close to grown children to ensure their care in later years. And number 5, the approval does not interfere substantially with the comprehensive plan because, and the applicant writes, pole barn residence is only 800 square feet, not changing character of the property. For technical reports, the health department states they have no objections to the proposed use variance. Septic permit and a given number has been issued for the property. Surveyor made no comment. Staff's report on this and recommendation is accessory dwellings are not a permitted use in any district, which means petitioners must seek variances to establish additional living quarters. In this case, finding of fact number 4 claims a hardship because the petitioners want to have a residence close to a family, or close to family, in the event they need care and assistance in the future. Staff is not opposed to the petitioner's use variance to allow a second dwelling on one parcel. Comments and discussion from the board?
And,
We've been granting these lately, and I don't, it's been a change, but I think it's a good change that we've made.
Gary, any comments?
No, I'll go with Bill.
Okay, all right, I agree. Open for a motion?
Go ahead, Bill.
make a motion when we approve U-21-05 as presented and finding the facts.
Are you going to refer to the worksheet, Fred, for your motion?
Yeah, we can.
Thank you.
The approval will not be injurious to the public safety or morals and general welfare of the community because of the reasons stated in the staff report and the finding of the facts. The use and value of the adjacent area adjacent to the property included a variance will not be affected in any substantial adverse manner because of the reasons stated in the staff report and the finding of the facts. The need for the variance does arise for some conditions peculiar to the property involved because of the reasons stated, and then finding of the facts and the petitioners. The strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will not constitute an unnecessary hardship if applied to the property for which a variance is sought because of the reasons stated, the finding of the facts. Will not interfere substantially with the comprehensive plan adopted by the Morgan County as it's stated by the petitioner in the staff report.
Thank you. I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's approved. Thank you very much for coming in.
They don't have to stay.
You guys don't have to stay.
But you
You're
can if
welcome
you want
to.
to.
You're welcome to, but you don't have to.
I won't ask you to come up and speak again.
All right, thank you.
Hey, I'd just like to say thank you, board, and I'd like to thank Laura and her team down there. They do a good job and are good servants, so I just wanted you all to know that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Agreed. Thank you for recognizing that. All right, our next item on the agenda this evening is public hearing U-21-07, Larry and Donnell, is that correct? Is that correct? Yes. And is it Elsner? Yes. Okay. Are seeking a use variance to allow a commercial kitchen/restaurant to be constructed on property previously approved for a winery in 2010 and a brewery in 2014. The property is located at 3820 Leonard Road in Jackson Township and is zoned for agriculture. And I understand we have Mr. Christopher Fuller representing the applicant.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. and Mrs. Elsner and their son are here this evening applying for a use variance, as you said, to construct a commercial kitchen at their Cedar Creek facility. The use variance will result in a secondary enhancement to the business and benefit the surrounding area. You all probably remember back when the Elsners came before your board in October of 2010 with their vision for Cedar Creek Winery. And its request was to make that vision a reality with the use variance at that time for the winery. That use variance was granted, and since that time, Cedar Creek has grown to be a complete success and a destination point for people throughout the state here in Morgan County, while continuing to be a good neighbor. My wife and I were driving home yesterday from Indianapolis. On our way home from Indianapolis down 37, we saw multiple Cedar Creek billboards inviting those from around the state, just outside of 465, to come down to Morgan County. There's no more positive impression that one can make than this business does in advertising for our county. Since the board approved the use variance back in 2010, the facility has grown from a winery to a brewery, as well as a destination point for many throughout the state in central Indiana for their summer concert series. In short, I think we all went back to October 25th of 2010 when this board approved Mr. Elsner's initial use variance. It would be hard to imagine the positive impact the Elsner's vision would have on our community and the surrounding area. The use variance we are requesting would allow for the commercial kitchen to be constructed as an enhancement to the property, a secondary enhancement to the property. The Elsners are not asking for any change of operation hours or anything of that nature for their commercial kitchen. They want to run the same hours as the current use variance they have. When looking at Cedar Creek as a whole, people come to Cedar Creek to relax with wine, beer, and spirits and listen to music. Many of us who have been to the facility for a concert knows that this is a family atmosphere. The addition of a commercial kitchen will enhance the Elsner's ability to serve their customers. The customers will not be coming to Cedar Creek for the food. They are coming for other things. This will just make the environment more family-friendly and safe. When I think of this commercial kitchen, because some have asked about this, I think of a football game. People go to a game to watch the football, but the football stadium has a concession stand, and that's to enhance the fans' experience. That's much of the same thing we have for the commercial kitchen on the Elsner's property. This isn't a food destination, but it is a secondary enhancement, much like a concession stand at a football game. I would like to go through the petition for use variance, finding of facts, and point out some additional items. The approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morale, or general welfare of the community because this is a family-run business. It's a family-friendly atmosphere, and it currently operates as a small winery, brewery, and distillery under the previous granted use variance. The property is screened from the road, it's very attractive, and it has added to the surrounding area in a positive manner. The addition of the kitchen to serve food will not detract or be injurious to the public health, safety, morale, or general welfare. In terms of item 2 in my findings of fact, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variances will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner because the property has improved the appearance and curb appeal. That's clearly evident for anyone who's been out there. The property to the north and south is currently a cornfield. The property to the west is wooded, and the property to the east is bordered by Painted Hills Lake. The appearance of the structures and business itself will improve the values of the surrounding area. I believe you all have been provided a copy from the Morgan County Economic Development Commission, is that correct?
Chamber. Not the Chamber of Commerce one?
I apologize, yes, Chamber of Commerce. We're gonna bring that letter, but we had one additional letter, and I apologize, I only made 3 copies to present to the board, from the Painted Hills.
This late?
Give us the gist of what the letter is.
Sure. This is from the Painted Hills Board of Directors, the Painted Hills Homeowners Association, which neighbors Cedar Creek Winery, and they would like to inform those concerned that the association is in favor of the addition of a commercial kitchen to the facility at 3820 Leonard Road in Jackson Township. They believe it to be an asset to the area.
I think we're fine with that. I'm going to interrupt you for just a second. Is anyone here in opposition to this evening? I didn't have anyone sign up in opposition. Okay, all right, thank you. If there were, I wanted to make sure we got a copy of it to them as
We're
well.
gonna get copies of that letter?
I don't think we need it. I think
I might want one.
he stated it, and we'll leave it
Well,
at
I'd like to
that,
have
because
one.
typically we don't accept them.
I'd like to have one later.
I have
Up to you,
copies.
Jerry.
I don't know
can
the rules of
digest
this.
it more.
What'd you say?
I could digest it more. I'd like to see it. Or keep it.
May I ask the presiding officer, may I give him a copy?
Absolutely.
Thank you. I'm not giving it back.
That's fine, cheers. The need for a variance does address, the need for the variance does arise from some condition peculiar to the property involved. The property is, as I said a few times here, currently uses a winery, brewery, and distillery. The addition of the ability to offer food will complement and add to these uses. The uniqueness and setting of this particular property allows the local community and visitors to purchase food with their drinks. The current use of the property actually establishes a need to serve food to allow for a total family experience. Finally, the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will constitute an unnecessary hardship if applied to the property for which the variance is sought. And that's because the land is zoned agricultural. However, they've been granted other use variances to operate a winery and brewery. The addition of the ability to serve food will complement those uses. It is a hardship for the variance not to be modified, as the addition of food will make the operation safer and a total family experience. It would be an unnecessary hardship not allow the ability to serve food. And the one letter we've received, I believe in opposition here today, has some concerns about the drinking of alcohol. And the fact of the matter is this addition, the commercial kitchen, is a safety factor. It's a fact, most know, that if you're drinking responsibly and you consume food, it's going to lower your BAC. As we said, this kitchen is strictly there as a secondary enhancement of the property, and that's actually going to make things more safe because folks will be able to eat while they're drinking. On top of that, in terms of undue hardship, Mr. Elsner has already spent close to $33,000 on this project. That includes $9,000 for a septic engineer, as well as an additional $12,000 in architectural designs for the building. That is money that is gone if this use variance isn't approved. Further, and this isn't including the construction cost of the building, the septic is going to end up costing him a total of $100,000 because it would be a wastewater treatment plant type facility, which he already has approval for. So he's doing everything the right way, the most positive way for the county. Finally, this approval does not interfere substantially with the adopted comprehensive plan because this variance will not interfere substantially with the comprehensive plan. The land is zoned agricultural with use variances already in place. The modification to allow a kitchen to be constructed to serve food will not interfere with the agricultural character of the surrounding areas. Again, if anything, this is an enhanced safety feature. At this time, I believe there are some other folks who have comments to make in support, and I'm happy to answer any questions you all may have for me.
Thank you. Questions from the board?
Not at this time. Maybe later when I hear some of the other comments.
Is there any thought yet about maybe a conference center there or a bed and breakfast?
I know of no thought of those things.
Is Mr. Elsner going to speak to us this evening?
I can if you'd like.
Okay, all right. Good enough, good enough. Thank you. Any other questions?
Not at this time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bryce Elsner?
I'm here to answer any questions that the board may have.
Okay, do you want to address the board or, no? Okay, thank you, appreciate that. Donnell Elsner? Elsner? Thank you. Larry Elsner? I'd like to get you up here if you could. Got a couple questions for you.
Yep.
I didn't get sworn in the beginning.
I'm sorry?
I didn't get sworn in the beginning
Oh.
because I didn't
Peyton,
think
you
I'd
mind?
be speaking.
Thank you.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
You didn't have anything you wanted to say, but does any of the board members have questions since he is the applicant?
Yeah. I see you got you're commuting people from the church, Harvest Church down there. People are, you're
Parking?
shuttling people back and forth in there.
Yes.
This thing has expanded a lot more than what the original thought was behind this thing, as far as starting out as 2010, just a winery in there.
Well,
But
let me,
it's-
that part is on our music, and that's not any part of our food. Our food, we will not need oversized or a lot for parking off our property.
Are you saying you're not going to be using the church anymore for anything? Why can't you
For our
have for
our
your own
mus-
property there?
Excuse me, for our music events, we do. But for our restaurant, we won't, we probably have 400, 350 cars. I don't see that much coming to my the kitchen. I don't see it taking off like that. All I want to do is have
But the
food for
kitchen
people.
intertwines with the rest of your business, right?
Yes, it does. And I have plenty of parking for a business, except on Saturdays when we have a music event. We have food trucks and all, on that day we have food trucks. I don't see me putting in a kitchen. I takes the place of the food trucks that are there. Anyway, that's the day that we'd have the problem would be that Saturday, but any other time we would not have a problem. And this is the first I heard of this problem. We do have a sheriff on site. On the letter, it said that, trash is in his yard and things. We are there that evening picking up trash, and the next morning we're out picking up trash, and it's not very much trash. And even Marty back here and his wife pick up the trash, so, we know how much there is. But I don't know how to address the issue on the church. Yeah, we do have a shuttle. There's only, I would say, 4 music events that's going to be that big where that parking lot is needed. That is an overflow, because we have a 4-acre field we park cars in. So once that 4-acre field is full, I don't know if you've been out there or not, then it goes to the overflow parking. But during the week, and just probably 4 or 5 times a year is when we use the church parking lot. And we get that approved through the church. If I need to get another sheriff out there for security or for directing traffic, that's not a problem. I can do that to help address that problem whenever we do have the overflow.
What about the litter that this was brought up about littering on people's property or something?
I'll even let other people talk on that if I can, but I'm out there on a lawnmower picking up litter. I
You
have
guys
things.
keep a check on it?
Oh, I don't know if you've been to my facility or not. I keep it spotless. I'm OCD out the wall. Anyway, there's not a thing out of place, and I pick up trash. I mow the grass along the cornfields. I take care of the property, and we have not had any complaints as far as trash. People parking on. We do not let anyone park on Leonard Road at our facility. We do put up signs. We do have stakes, and we have people out there where they cannot park and block traffic. So, in the music nights when the concerts do let out, that is at between 9 and 10:30. There's not a lot of people on the road at that time on Leonard. It's obviously people leaving are there, but it's not anything spectacular. We haven't had any issues.
When any of the music events go beyond that, like till midnight or something?
No, our music stops at 9 o'clock, and well, Bryce, what time does music stop? At 9?
Music stops at 9, which is when the theater ends.
I offered you a chance to come up here and talk. You can kind of help him, but we do want to follow
Okay.
our rules of procedure here. And
Sorry
not
about that.
address the board unless you're up at the podium.
How
But
many
if you want to come
musical-
back up, I'll give you a chance when he's done.
How many music events do you have a year?
Every weekend, Saturdays and Sundays, we do have music, even Friday nights. Those are the small bands. We have a concert series that's put on by Rob Helms. That sort of trumps the music bands. I think there are 18 scheduled in the time frame. They can tell you more whenever he comes
They
up.
mostly on weekends?
Yeah, they're on Saturdays, I think, and Sundays, if we have to reschedule. But there is a printout. I don't have it.
Okay.
There's not one here.
You're saying you're only gonna have 4 or 5 events that will exceed your capacity to park them?
Yes, in years past, and my son would know more, and he'll speak here in a second, because he's the one that helps get the charter buses and stuff. Yeah, we'll fill up all of our parking area, and we have not used that church, but last year, I wouldn't think more than 5 times. That was, last year, we didn't have very many concerts. The prior year, 5 times a year would be about as much as we'd use it. And the fields next to us, I'd like to buy, but they're not for sale. And the farm to the south is a horse farm. He's a good friend of mine, but that's their hayfield, and we don't want to park in their hayfield. But there again, the food that I want to have is to complement or to go along with the alcohol, because anyone that comes, it's like, is there anything to eat? I have crackers, I have cheeses, I have.
But it all intertwines.
Yeah. And whenever we have the music events, we do have food trucks out there. They are, through the Board of Health, they're approved and all that. They take their waste with them. What I'm wanting to do and what I've done, I've spent a year with an engineer and through the Board of Health to get our septic approved. It is pretty much a wastewater treatment plant. There's one tank I won't even see that's buried. It's 42,000 that has all the high-tech stuff in it. I have to sign a contract for someone to come out 4 times a year to clean filters, because it is a treatment plant. And the money I'm investing this money for my kids. I want to make sure that we keep it in the family, and that, we can have our families doing, what we want to do. So,
Is the food waste products like plastics and all, how do you get rid of that stuff?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
How do you get rid of the plastics?
The what?
The plastics, forks, knives, plates?
Well, everything's going to be silverware, I would think. We have, if it's not going to be silverware, it'll be paper, and we have waste management pickup, waste management.
You have like a
does-
dumpster out there or something?
Oh, yeah, we have a dumpster now. And waste management, they recycle. If you don't recycle, it gets recycled anyway, if you don't know that.
What's the seating capacity going to be?
On the kitchen area, because we do have seating there, was 35 people, and that's what the Board of Health rated, 35 because of the new building. Anyway, that's what they rated the septic on. But they told me I could run the whole, when we are adding a lot of restroom, we're adding 4 or 5 women's stalls and 2 or 3 men's toilets and a couple of urinals. So the capacity's there that we need. And during the concerts, right now, I think we have 16 portlets on our site. So, that handles the capacity of our concerts. And they're there from about a month ago through September.
So what will seating capacity at the restaurant be?
35,
35?
yes.
And what hours will it be operating?
I don't want to change what we are, till 9 o'clock. So we may open at, on our variance, we can open, I think, at 8 in the morning. Right now, we open at 12 till 6, Sunday through Thursday. Friday and Saturdays are 12 till 8. I don't see changing that during the week. We may stay open till 8 o'clock every night. I don't want to be where we're there cleaning up till midnight, our crew. You know, I want to keep it friendly, and I just, that's just the hours we want to keep.
Thank you.
Is the restaurant going to be a separate building or connected to the existing building that's there?
It has to be a separate building. You guys have a drawing, because I gave them to the state, or I gave them to the Plans Commission. It is 3,200 square feet. Quarter of it is kitchen, a quarter of it is bathrooms, and then half of it is seating area. And it is a detached building because of the square footage, but it is attached, so there's firewalls, there's vestibule going to it, and all that. But all that's been approved through the state and architect and everything.
Any other questions?
I don't think I have any more right now.
No?
No.
No. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bryce, did you want to come up and say something? I'll bring you up here.
You can't escape.
Do what?
Cannot escape.
Yes. My name's Bryce Elsner. I am Larry and Donnell's son. I just wanted to clarify up some questions that you had asked him. I might be able to answer them a little better. You had asked about church parking, or parking down at the church. We do use that 3, 4, maybe 5 times a year. Those are going to be for our bigger tribute bands. Us, along with RD Productions, do make a monetary donation to the church. They're completely fine with us using that. After concerts, we do go through, clean up the church parking lot. They've had no complaints whatsoever. As far as litter along the roads that you had mentioned, at least once a month or every other month, us along with employees will go through. We've actually cleaned from Leonard Road and 252 all the way around to Lenvoil and Leonard, down in the lower bottom area, right before you go up the hill to where the State Department is. And I know my dad has even cleaned up along 252 on the opposite side, or on the north side of 252.
Move up closer to the mic.
Sorry. Oh, that is better. So as far as litter, that's all been, we handle that, whether it be ours or someone else's. We are out picking that up at least every other month, if not every month. And as far as business hours, right now, I would assume it's going to be at least weekends. It's not going to be a full-on kitchen. We're not going to open up any earlier probably than what we currently do. But yeah, we definitely will not go past 9, because we're not wanting to change anything from the current variance. And we don't want it to become like a bar-type setting. We want to keep it family-oriented. And we have, I have a family of my own, and we all have families that we want to get home to as well. So we don't enjoy staying late or later than what we need to. So, yeah, hopefully that helps clarify some of his answers.
Any other questions from the board?
On the 4 or 5 concerts, as you state, that you use this down there a year, are you still in any of these or anything to these people that you're putting down into that area about not walking, using the shuttle service?
So we have at least 2 to 3 shuttles, where we have an area where they're picked up, and then there's an area at the church where they're dropped off, and vice versa, whether they're coming to our property or leaving our property. There is no enforcement on you have to take the shuttle. That is kind of difficult to enforce because people are gonna do what they want to do.
Well, I know it's difficult to enforce, but that's why I stated, are you instilling in any way of instilling in these people not to do the walking?
We encourage people.
Especially through other people's property.
Yes, so if people do walk, they will walk on Leonard Road. RD Productions, they do make an announcement at the end stating that there are shuttles and they are extremely encouraged to use the shuttles to get back to their vehicles. But again, most of that, it's only gonna be on those 3, 4, maybe 5 events. And in the past, I don't even recall more than at least 3 nights where we actually had to use the church parking lot.
So if this only happens during your big events, your tribute band events, right?
Yes.
Would it be unreasonable for you and your employees or whoever you designate to go police that area the following morning?
As
Before,
as
you know,
far as
9, 10
litter
o'clock, just
or-
walk down through there, pick up the trash that your
Yeah.
concert goers have deposited in
Yeah,
other
yeah,
residents'
absolutely.
yards?
Yeah, we can even start that at our next concert.
And I ask that because we got a letter here from a local resident who's complaining about that among other things.
Okay.
And it seems to me like might be a pretty easy thing to resolve. I would assume you guys want to be good neighbors, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Whether we approve your restaurant or not?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. All right. I don't have any other questions.
Is there any way you can, I don't know, inform the people that park in the church not to walk on Leonard Road? I don't think there's sidewalks on that road.
There are not, but like I
I
stated.
mean, it's not the slowest road in the county that people use.
Correct, yeah, but like I stated, RD Productions does go through and make an announcement at the very end.
You put up signage?
Oh, yes, yes. We do have signage saying that there is a shuttle going to and from Hoosier Harvest Church.
Have what?
There is a sign stating that there is a shuttle
Oh.
going to, we put out yard signs on concert days at the church and at the end of our driveway stating that there is a shuttle. So my apologies.
Good. I think that's all I have, John.
Anyone else? No, thank you, Bryce.
Yep, thank you.
Christopher Fuller?
That was me.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
I'll be happy to talk again.
I'll get you here in a minute. Reginald McCracken? Here. Did you want to speak? Had a feeling that might be the case.
Pardon?
We've never seen you pass up the opportunity.
That's right, that's right. I survived COVID-19 on a cruise ship to Italy. The United States wouldn't let me come back for a while, but I made it back. So here I am. I'm Reginald McCracken. I live in Painted Hills. I have for 46 years. My wife knows that lady. You know Nancy, remember Nancy? I told Nancy to tell her and her husband that they were gonna go broke. That idea will never work. But I didn't realize what kind of folks they were and what kind of money they were gonna spend. They've been very good neighbors, been very good financially for Painted Hills, for Morgan County and Central Indiana. We're fortunate to have them. As far as the litter along the road, I don't go out there every day, so I can't say on every concert, on every time, there's never been any litter. I've never noticed any. I never heard anybody saying that there was a litter problem. I've never seen it, never heard anybody speak about it. 2, the traffic, it's not that much. When you're used to no traffic and now you got 2 cars a day, well, it's not that bad. On my road, it's 2 cars a day. But when there's not much traffic and then you have a lot of traffic, yes, there is a difference. But it's well handled, well managed. It is not a problem. If somebody would consider the problem, we have Gate 4 entrance right down the road east of Gate 1, 2, and 3, then come in Gate 4 and bypass Clear Creek Winery. So it's not a problem getting in if you want to get in and avoid all the traffic. Traffic's not a problem, litter's not a problem. And the last point I want to make is, every time I go to a concert, I want something to eat. I ask them, he said, we don't have a kitchen. So I want them to get a kitchen so that I can eat. Okay? They run a very nice place there, and it's really an asset to the community, and I would hope that you would approve their request.
Thank you. Any questions for the gentleman? No? Thank
I
you,
can keep
sir.
talking.
Take a break.
46 years, been quite a few changes. The horse barn and the winery is on the list. When I take people to come in and invest, they ask me questions. That's one of the highlights. I show them of why they want to move to Painted Hills. Go look at our clubhouse and our facilities at the clubhouse, of course the lakes, and the horses, and the winery. People are sold on the area when they see that. I'm surprised they made it a financial success, but they're better business people than I am. They're smarter than I am. They did a good job. All right, approve it, please.
Stan Matilla?
No comments, I agree.
Thank you. Dave Rosenbaum? David Rosenbaum? Did you want to speak, Mr. Rosenbaum?
I wouldn't mind addressing. Sure.
Come on up.
I need to be sworn in also.
Mr. Peden, would you mind swearing in Mr. Rosenbaum? Apparently he didn't take advantage of it earlier.
I will. Thank you.
I just want to address the board. There seems to be a concern on the litter, and I wanted to let you know that on our behalf, we are concerned about that also. I'm not saying that there is a lot of litter coming from us, but we want to present Cedar Creek in the best way that we possibly can, both on the approach down Leonard Road and any way that can be associated with it. There have been many times we've walked around Painted Hills Lake that has where you can't even see, and we're picking up trash in there. Alyssa Sims, the daughter of the Elsners, walks about every day, and she picks up trash just along on her walk. There have been several times when Donnell, myself, and Alyssa and Bryce were out there. I think one day we picked up 27 bags of trash. And it's not our trash. It's just the people throwing liquor bottles out. It's disgusting how people treat the countryside. And like I said, we just want to keep it clean the best we can. After the concerts, first place we go is down there to the church. That's the most important place. They're gracious enough to let us use their parking lot, and with no qualms, we really want to make sure that place is spotless. But then also during the evening, and honestly, we have great customers. There's so little pickup on our property or on the property that the customers do pick up after themselves, and they don't leave a lot of trash. But like I said, we're as concerned about leaving a good, shining example of what Cedar Creek is about as much as you are. And if that helps anything, I hope it does.
Thank you. Any questions?
Do you see a lot of transient traffic through Painted Hills?
No.
People cutting through there?
As in?
Like a shortcut to get someplace? You know, it's not people that live there, but people that just cut through.
I'm sure there are. It's not something, I mean, we are sitting pretty far off the road, so it's hard to really see, but
Yeah.
I'm sure people are out driving around, if that's, does that
You never
answer?
gave your address, or do you live in Painted Hills?
I do not. I'm probably about maybe 8 minutes away.
But
I live
you-
on Townsend Road.
You work for the winery, right?
I do. I am the winemaker.
Okay.
Yes. But as I said, I drive these back roads and I see places that need attention, and that's whenever we go out with our trash bags and we'll clean them up. But it's like I said, it's not trash coming from the winery. It's the people that can't keep their trash in their car until they get home. They just pitch it along the road. pretty sad.
Okay.
Thank you. Lisa Waller.
Thank you.
All right. Marty Waller? Okay, all right. Mr. Fuller, I'll give you an opportunity to speak again if you choose to.
Absolutely, thank you. Appreciate all the questions to everyone tonight. When looking at this, it's important to remember that this is simply for the kitchen element. The other things are already there. This is an enhancement to safety. It's an enhancement to the facility. This isn't going to cause additional noise. As somebody who goes to Cedar Creek, I haven't seen the litter. It seems like they're trying to take care of that. But even that being the case, I don't think this would add any addition to that. To reflect on what Mr. McCracken said, I live in Sand Creek Knoll, which is right behind this facility. We had a baby shower. We had people in from Miami, Tampa, New York City, and Charlotte 2 weekends ago to Little Martinsville, Indiana. And these are all people about my age. And they all stayed at our home, and our destination was, after the baby shower, to Cedar Creek. And there's one group of these younger people who are from Miami who seriously want to move to Indiana now because of the layout in the countryside. This is a very positive thing for this community. This is a business, I believe, that actually wants to be a good neighbor, and we'd ask that you look at it for what it is. It's an enhancement to the current business. It's an enhancement to safety of every resident around there because there's alcohol that will be consumed with food to help lower the BAC, and overall, it's a great thing for our community, so we'd ask that you approve this use variance. Thank you all. If you have any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Questions from the board?
No.
If the board approves this, is your client willing to go through the required building inspections for any additional building that they're going to be doing on the property?
I believe they already have the permitting submitted, correct?
Yeah, I'm asking about the inspections where the inspector signs off on the work itself. Apparently, it's been a question in the past, so I want to make sure.
To answer
It's been a questionable area before.
yes.
And that's the reason why he brought it up.
Yes, absolutely. Like I said, with even the wastewater treatment, obviously, if you have a $100,000 facility, you're going to be getting those inspected, and the building inspections will be happening as well. Absolutely.
And I believe we have a commitment from Bryce, but is your client willing to commit to policing the trash along the neighbors' properties between their facility and the church, either that evening or early hours the next morning, to pick up trash along the road? And I'll preface that by, or go back to, if you feel there's a need to go police the church's parking lot, that maybe some of your concert goers are throwing trash out in the church's parking lot. It's not a very far stretch to think that they may be doing that if they're walking between the winery and the church to chuck a piece of trash in somebody's yard versus throwing it out in the church's parking lot.
Oh, I think that's a very reasonable request for a commitment. It's my understanding they've been trying to do that. They've been trying to clean that area, and I think they're going to continue trying to go up and down there, commit to that, keeping it clean. All they want to do is be a good neighbor and asset to our community.
Any other questions from the board members?
No, I don't have any. Other than making a statement, a lot of these residents out there that live out there were there before the winery. Is there any chance that you can be a little bit more thinking, for their part, be considerate of them, because some of them, we have one that's written that has a noise problem.
Well, obviously,
And
if
he has
there's
people going through there. We're just asking for some consideration.
certainly, obviously, as a neighbor, nobody wants one of their neighbors upset of them, even if it's only one. And that's what we have here. But I agree. I think that the Elsners are working, will continue to work to be good neighbors. I think that's their goal, as all of us here in Morgan County want to be good neighbors to the people next to us.
Any other questions?
That and please get the permits and stuff and get the inspections and stuff that need to be done.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Anything else, gentlemen? No? Thank you very much.
Thank you all very much. We just ask that you approve this variance.
All right, I have no one else signed up to speak that we haven't already called upon to come forward. So at this point, we'll enter public hearing, go into the public meeting phase. This is an application for a use variance. In order for the board to grant this, we have to agree that the applicant meets 5 findings of facts. First being that the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community because, and the applicant has written, the business is a family-run business with a family-friendly atmosphere that currently operates a small winery, brewery, and distillery under previous granted use variances. The property is screened, very attractive, and has added to the surrounding area in a positive manner. The addition of a kitchen to serve food will not detract or be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. Number 2, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner because the applicant writes, the property has been improved as to appearance and curb appeal. The property to the north and south is currently a cornfield. The property to the west is wooded, and the property to the east is bordered by Painted Hills Lake. The appearance of the structures and business itself will improve the values of the surrounding area. Number 3, the need for the variance does arise from some condition peculiar to the property involved because, and the applicant has written, the property is currently used as a winery, brewery, and distillery. The addition of the ability to offer food will complement and add to these uses. The uniqueness and setting of this particular property allows the local community and visitors to purchase food with their drink. The current use of the property actually establishes the need to serve food to allow for a total family experience. Number 4, the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will constitute an unnecessary hardship if applied to the property for which the variance is sought because, and the applicant writes, the land is zoned agricultural, however, it has been granted use variances to operate a winery and a brewery. The addition of the ability to serve food will complement those uses. It is a hardship for the variance not to be modified as the addition of food will make the operation safer and a total family experience. It would be an unnecessary hardship to not allow the ability to serve food. Number 5, the approval does not interfere substantially with the adopted comprehensive plan because, and the applicant writes, this variance will not interfere substantially with the comprehensive plan. The land is zoned agricultural with use variances already in place. The modification to allow a kitchen to be constructed to serve food will not interfere with the agricultural character of the surrounding area. For the technical reports, the health department states they have no objections to the proposed use variance. The surveyor made notations but no comments. For the staff report on this and recommendation, they have written a copy of the BZA minutes and the petitioner's finding of facts from the 2010 and 2014 meetings are included for reference. The prior requests seem to have been focused more on the winery and brewery operations with little to no reference in the minutes about the concerts, which ultimately creates the greatest impact on the surrounding residents. Because it is not reflected with any detail in the minutes, the staff is unclear about how much detail was provided about the concerts and or other uses that have evolved since the initial approvals. Tourism attractions like Cedar Creek are important to the county because they bring in visitors who contribute money to the local economy and they help create an attractive quality of life for existing and potential residents. However, those benefits have to be balanced with the impacts of those who live near the tourist attraction, especially if the community was in place before the attraction was established. In the case of Cedar Creek Winery, it has grown significantly since the original variance was approved in 2010. What was described as a small retail winery business has now expanded with a brewery, distillery, concert venue, cigar brand, and retail boutique, and now they want to add a restaurant. It is natural for Cedar Creek to want to build on their success by branching into these related lines of businesses, but unless specified in one of the previous approvals, these additional uses should have been approved through the BZA rather than simply assuming they were permitted. This is why staff required them to come back before the BZA with the restaurant request. Although the petition does not state the hours of operation or seating capacity, these items need to be addressed by the BZA. If the restaurant will only be open during concerts, festivals, or similar events, it will likely have little impact on the neighbors because the crowds are already there for the event. If there are long-term plans to open the restaurant on a regular basis between events, that activity needs to be clarified and specified as any part of any approval. The most impactful activity that has occurred as a result of the use variance approvals has been the concerts. Fortunately for the petitioners, the concerts have steadily gained popularity and attendance. However, it is doubtful that the petitioner nor the BZA ever envisioned that they would need to create off-site overflow parking at the church down the road. Nor did they imagine that the concerts would be taking place nearly every weekend between May and October, or having the stage facing east would direct the sound toward the residences. If the variance for the restaurant use is approved, staff recommends at a minimum that the petitioner be required to establish additional on-site parking, so there is no need to use the church for overflow. It is not uncommon for visitors to walk from the church parking instead of waiting on the shuttle service. This results in people walking in the road or through the yards of homeowners between the church and the winery. If the petitioner did not want to establish additional on-site parking at the winery, they could work with the adjacent farmer to build a walking path on the west side of Leonard Road to accommodate the foot traffic. The BZA should also consider setting a limit on the number of concerts the petitioner can hold during the year, limiting the volume on sound generated by the performing bands, and/or requiring the stage to be repositioned so that it is not aimed in the direction of the adjacent homes. These mitigation efforts will help find that balance between those visiting the winery and those who are living next to it. Gentlemen, discussion?
I have a couple comments to make. Number one, I'm not against the kitchen, but you did an agreement that you would use nothing on the Painted Hills side of Leonard Road when we did this originally. It's in writing here. Nothing would be. It's a record. Property located in the Painted Hills side of Leonard Road is not to be used for any customer purposes. The other thing that you did agree to was the hours between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m., period. Like I said, I'm not against the kitchen. I'm just pointing these facts out that this was the agreement that you initially did. We're not talking about parking right now. We're not talking about anything else. But like I said, I'm not against the kitchen. But you did do that, did agree to that condition. And like I said, here's the operation hours limited between hours of 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. Plant screening, shrubs at least 7 foot tall, and maintain them on the Painted Hills side of Leonard Road to keep the headlights from going in there. And the property is located on the Painted Hills side of Leonard Road is not to be used for any customer purposes, what you agreed to. Like I say, I'm not against the kitchen at all. That's my only comment right now.
Other discussion or comments from the board members?
No, not really. It's just, I think this thing is not saying it's not good for the community at all. It is good for the community, but it's been going at it in a way where I think it exceeded far of what the community thought it was going to be, and what the originally intent was when the zoning board approved this in 2010. It's exceeded what they even thought it was going to be, and especially with the adding of the, they approved in 2010 the winery, then they come back and put the brewery in, which was approved in 2014. But now they've added a distillery to it, which it never came in front of the BZA. I'm not so sure, that, we're not trying to exceed it any farther. And we need to set limits on the restaurant of how many people, the capacity it can be into. We don't want to add to more what there is out there. And as Bill was saying, the original intent was not to use any of that property. That's why I kept bringing that up across the highway, the Painted Hill side of the road. And that, with the overflow parking the way it's set up, that automatically just annuls that.
I guess
That ought to be
questions,
under consideration.
my question would be, you've got 22 plus acres out there. You indicated you've got 4 acres for parking, and I realize that you're restricted aesthetically, possibly more than anything else. But the amount of parking that you use at the church, could you use a portion of your property for that? That's just, I'm asking a question. Which I think would be important to have. Like I said, I have no way of policing anything because it would just be a request, but picking up the trash and say this as generally as possible. Your history of not getting a final inspection on things bothers me to a great degree. I know you're a builder in your other life. I would, if I made a recommendation to approve this kitchen, you would not get a certificate of occupancy until you had 100% of everything inspected. Like I said, I'm not against the kitchen at all, but these other things do bother us, or me.
Gary, any thoughts, comments?
What was the part you said about a sidewalk or something on it?
The hardest thing about a sidewalk is they don't control the ground.
What?
They do not control the property that leads down to the church. It would have to be, obviously you're not going to put it through somebody's front yard. Maybe getting an easement could be something done, but that's not before us right now.
And the hours were 9 to knock off the music at 9 o'clock?
That was their original, the 3 things that were put into the approval when they started this. And
the hours in 2010, 8 to 9.
Did 8 to 9?
Yeah.
That's 1
But
hour.
he was talking about the restaurant being open till 9 o'clock.
Restaurant being open till 9.
yeah, obviously, we can make changes from what we envisioned the first time, which we did not, I don't think possibly even Eisner's envisioned it being this successful, and you certainly want it to be successful for the community. And I would like a written proposal as to what we need to change. Obviously, the property located on the other side of Leonard Road to not be used for any customer purposes. And maybe we ought to change in this portion of the restaurant request, maybe later than 9 p.m. I mean, that's perfectly logical. I say this because I have not heard from Painted Hills. We've had some letters. I've had, before I even knew this, I had people calling, and which you do not talk with them, but I think that ought to be taken into consideration. Parking, hours of operation, and possibly saying, if they're phenomenally successful, that we certainly can't stop somebody from parking in the church.
No.
And I'm certainly sure the church appreciates the money, but these are all things to think about.
My concern is when they're parking down there, and that's one thing. Do it. First of all, that was the original approval wasn't given for them to use any side of that road for any purposes on that thing. Second of all, the safety factor of it.
I understand your concerns, and I was on the board in 2010. I remember the conversation, as I remember the conversation, we were talking about the other side of the road. Seems like there's a strip between the road and the lake that's a very narrow strip, and we were concerned about using that as parking and cars backing out onto the road. It wasn't really anything else. Well, we were concerned that maybe they would put like a patio area out there that would create noise for the neighbors that were right there on the other side of the road, between the road and the lake. It was those two things, as I remember, we had discussion about and were concerned about, which, as I understand from seeing the operation down there, they're not using it. They're not using that section. When we talked about using anything on the other side of the road, there was never any conversation about off-site parking at the church down the road. And the business has morphed into a lot more than what it was in 2010, or I'm sure the family ever thought about in 2010. On the request.
Grow drastically
Yeah.
compared off of it, and that's good. That's good for them.
The request for the restaurant, I have no opposition to that whatsoever.
Yeah.
None. I think it'd be a great thing for the area, quite frankly.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be in favor of imposing a 9 o'clock closing. I think on the restaurant, 10 o'clock would be plenty early on that, because I don't see a lot of noise and complaints generated out of having that restaurant. Matter of fact, I would guess that unless you knew that restaurant was there, you'd never know it was there if they opened up a restaurant there. The concerts and all that, it's morphed into something more, and they're doing it every weekend, but we've always said there's gives and gets. And if they shut the music down at 9 o'clock,
It's going to be give and take in every situation when it comes to
I don't
that.
see a problem with it. I don't see forcing them to buy property, to add additional parking if they've got an agreement with the church down the road, and the church is willing to do that. It probably benefits the church financially. I don't care to know the details of that. I don't know that it's relevant, but I don't have a problem with that. I think they've got to do a better job being a steward and policing up the properties between the facility and the church. But I don't know how we could say, hey, you can only have 2 concerts a year, or 10, or 15, or 30. And I don't know how we'd ever police that. And noise levels, I don't really want to open that door unless the community around there says it's a problem, and we've got one letter in front of us saying it's a problem. Other than that, I've not seen or heard testimony from anybody saying it's an issue.
If the people had a complaint, they should have been here.
And we've always granted continuances if they've had a scheduling conflict, and we've all had those. But as far as the application in front of us, they've agreed to police the property better between there and the church, to reiterate that their customers should use the shuttle service. The biggest thing that rubs me the wrong way on this is, Mr. Elsner, you're a builder. You came in front of us last time. Follow the rules. Get the permits. Play by the rules on this. We're trying to help you with your business and let you expand it. Follow the rules. Everybody else plays by them. You're no exception.
It's obvious you haven't been following the rules on the things, because of not getting inspections and that should have been done. We're not against the idea. The restaurant, as I say, it's going to be an asset. It's going to be an asset to you.
That, again, would be the only reason why I'd vote against it, is your relatively consistent violation of follow-up, and you know better.
Any other discussion?
Could the bandstand be directed in another direction if people complained about it?
Yeah, please.
structure has been a fairly significant cost, and it's a permanent structure. It would be such a significant cost to get it rearranged, and cost and layout in this $100,000 waste facility, that we don't believe that could be changed directions.
Since that's on commercial use, did they
Building
get
permit drawn
permits and
for
stuff
it?
to put that in?
Excuse me?
Was there a building permit drawn for that stage?
Yes?
I don't think so.
I believe you just said it was drawn by an architect. I didn't hear the answer.
Yeah, I'm looking at our planning director.
Thank you.
And on the restaurant, what were the hours for the restaurant?
We were proposing the hours the same exact as the other variants of till 9. We were proposing the same exact
That's what
as
he
our
said
use
earlier
variance.
at the 9.
Oh, no, really, I think. How about breakfast?
For you, maybe.
Depends on what time you eat breakfast.
I don't have anything else.
Anything else from Mr., yeah, I'm sorry.
It's okay, it's full, everybody forgets it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other discussion amongst the board?
No, I don't have anything.
Open for a motion?
I'll move that we approve U-21-07 based on the following facts: that it will not be injurious to the public health, safety, and morals welfare of the community because the reasons stated in the petitioner's finding of fact. 2, the use and value of the area adjacent to property and the variance will not be affected in a substantial adverse manner because the reasons stated in the petitioner's finding of fact. The need for the variance does arise from some condition peculiar to the property involved because reasons stated in the petitioner's finding of fact. 4, the strict application of the terms of the ordinance will constitute an unnecessary hardship if applied to the property which the variance is sought. A, because the reasons finding the petitioner's finding the facts, the approval will not interfere substantially with the comprehensive land use plan adopted for Morgan County because A, the petitioner's finding the facts. The only thing that I would add here, there's the following conditions: that trash must be picked up after each event. And I'm not going to put it down here, but I think you need to look at a little better parking. Success does cause problems, and this is going to be a problem. But that was motion to approve.
So I have a motion to approve with one contingency. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a second. All in favor, please raise your right hand, say aye.
Aye.
It's approved. All right, next thing on the agenda this evening is staff reports. Mr. Peden, do we have any business? Thank you. Ms. Parker, do we have a plan director report?
Only thing to mention is that we do have petitions for next month, and the county council is actively seeking applicants to fill our vacancy.
Okay.
So far, nobody that they contacted us.
Applicants for what?
I don't know why they don't want to join such a.
Who would not want to partake in this fund?
They're seeking applicants for what?
The county council is the one
For
that.
Gene's spot.
Oh, okay.
So if you have suggestions, they welcome them.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? So our next meeting is on July 26, 2021. Any other business to be conducted this evening? Any other business?
No.
For a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Do I have a second? Second, all in favor, please raise your right hand, say aye. Aye, we're adjourned. Thank you. Fred made the motion to adjourn and Jerry seconded it.
Well, there's a few people. back on.
Okay. They're cleaning up after their wine bottle.
All right, who's collecting?